Welcome. You are ear hustling with Cliff and Dr. J. We got an exciting show today. I promise you, you're going to enjoy yourself. You're going to enjoy this handsome young man that you see on the screen. I met him a few years ago. I was so impressed with him. He was running uh, to be the leader of the Shelby County Democratic Party. And I have to be honest with him. I didn't think he was old enough or mature enough to do the job. I was actually supporting the other guy. We won't mention the other guy's name. But this young man won, and he impressed me, and he did an awesome job with the Shelby County Democrat Party. His name is Corey Strong. As you can see in the back, he's running for Congress in the 9th Congressional District, and we're so proud of him. And we want to see him do very well. And this lady, Dr. J, she knows him very well. So we're going to turn it over to Dr. J and let her start off asking Corey Strong for Congress some questions. Go ahead, Dr. J.
Good afternoon, Cliff. It's so wonderful to be with you on today. And yes, I go way back with Corey, and I'm not quite sure how many years, but I think it's been a handful of years. Corey was a
Right.
student at White Station High School in Memphis, Tennessee, and Corey was everything. He was so involved at White Station. I mean, I am so impressed with you. I have a memory of when you left high school and you went to the Naval Academy. You came back to my classroom and you were in your dress whites, I believe. And the class was able to look at you and talk to you and find out your background and some interesting things about you as well as the Naval Academy. And then, Corey, another time I happened to be at a Memphis Grizzlies game. This was after I had left Memphis. And they introduced this young person singing the national anthem as Corey Strong. I said, I know him. Oh my God, you rocked it out.
No, first of all, thank you guys both for being here. Two people I really look up to, and people who, you have your own respective legacies in Memphis, both Cliff and Dr. J. And Dr. J was everything at White Station. So she was progressive doing some different stuff. So we had White Station is a public school with pretty diverse student population. And so we didn't have a Black student union or a Black studies club. We had a Pan-African Studies Club that Dr. J started, and we got to do a program every year in February, and it was something different every year. So she don't remember this. So one year we did I don't know what, I can't remember what the theme was. The one year I think it was Harlem Renaissance, and so I read a little poem, and then I was reading a poem, and Dr. J was coaching me. She was like, Corey, give me your best Lorenz Tate. I was like, okay, yeah, I got it. I can give you my Lorenz Tate. I can do my Love Jones.
And you did it.
Drama. And then, but another thing, you probably don't know this, Dr. J, is so for the past 20 plus years, my primary hobby in the world has been salsa dancing. Growing up in Memphis, partner dancing, you might get a young lady or something. You do the butterfly or something back in the day, But Memphis, a lot of individual dancing, like juking and stuff like that. So you kind of do your own thing, but not a lot of partner dancing. And so one year to really make that program, she says, we're going to do a dance demonstration. So she brought this couple in.
Okay, Dr. J, his screen. Mm-hmm. Go ahead. Sorry. No, you're good. So you're good.
We brought in a couple to teach us how to swing dance. So not West Coast, East Coast swing. So Lindy swing. So learned the Lindy swing or swing dancing. Went to the Naval Academy on the East Coast. So a lot of swing dancing up there. So I was doing that in college. And then right after college, I was switching from that partner dance to salsa because salsa was a little bit cooler. But I got into partner dancing because of kind of those opportunities you put in front of us, not only to educate the student body, but to give us something new. And so a lot of people don't know swing dancing came from us as a people, not from a Gap commercial, So yeah, so it was. So you've had a lasting impact on my life, and Cliff just Cliff. We we know Cliff Stock. You got to call him up, get your advice, and get yourself right and everything. So great opportunity to be on and talk to both of you guys. So I appreciate it.
Now,
Yeah,
Corey, I have to stop for a minute because I believe that we will win. Do you know something about that?
Yes, yeah. So a lot of people don't know there is. I believe that we will win. If you follow soccer, a lot of college, a lot of sports, there's a cheer call. I believe that we will win. A lot of commercials. Pitbull did a song about it did a song using it during the pandemic. That was me and my classmate at the Naval Academy, Jay Rodriguez. So Jay Rodriguez is a prior enlisted sailor, came to the Naval Academy. He came up with it probably 6 months before we started plebe year at the prep school. He knew I was a cheerleader, so he taught me that. I taught our PEEP class to cheer, then I taught the brigade to cheer, and it kind of became a Naval Academy thing. And so, there's all kinds of emotions that come up with it, because I remember in 2014 when USA Soccer got big and it was like the #1 thing trending on Twitter. But then I remember back in 2011, I will pull up a video on YouTube of when we killed Osama bin Laden, and I watched people at the Naval Academy doing that cheer, kind of celebrating, bringing justice to the guy that caused 9/11. So just spectrum of emotions, but you never think something you're going to do as a cheerleader in college is going to be, kind of have that type of impact. But, every time I hear it every day. In fact, my wife's friend had something recently and told me he went to a conference for his job, and he sent the video like, "Hey, we doing it at this conference, like a job conference." Yeah, that was something I did back in 1999. So I try to stay in the mix, keep people motivated, and so yeah.
Well, Corey, let me just say this, and I'm going to turn it over to Cliff when I finish this statement. I am immensely proud of you. I believe that the future is bright. You've already had a good future, a good past, but the future is so bright for you. You're so intelligent, and you've always been just a creative genius in my eyes.
That's coming from a Titan, so I appreciate that. So I appreciate you, Dr. J. You know what I mean? People, y'all don't remember, people was liking on Dr. J in school too. People was like, "Yeah,
I
Dr.
bet you
J,
they were.
yeah."
So she was the type of teacher you'd be like, oh, yeah, we good.
I'll try this drama thing out. I'm gonna get a Dr. J class. Yeah, I'll do a couple of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, let's get to the crux of the interview. Cliff, back to you.
Well, we didn't mean to embarrass you, Dr. J, but I did know that you were a cheerleader, but we are looking forward to you being a cheerleader for us in the 9th Congressional District. That's what we need. The person that represents us now has been there since 2007. You don't know this about me, but I never mentioned the opponent's name. So the person that's representing us right now, and the 9th Congressional District was made, I believe, in 1980, if I'm not mistaken, and Harold Ford was the first person to hold a position there.
A little earlier than that.
Okay, but yeah. Was it in the 70s? It was late 70s. Yes. But it was designed for minorities in Tennessee and in West Tennessee. And Harold Ford held it for quite some time. Then his son, and then now we have your opponent that's holding it now. But what I want to do is ask you, what was your motivation for running for Congress in the 9th Congressional District?
So what's my motivation? So great question. I am certainly a child of Memphis, the 901. I've always loved my city. And, from the moment I left home, it was just natural for me to rep Memphis, right? Our music, our culture, we just have a different attitude, a different spirit, and it shines everywhere you go. Like, I remember being on the basketball court in Norfolk. A young man said something. I said, "Where are you from?" He said, "From Memphis." I said, "You from North Memphis?" He's like, "How you know?" I was like, "I'm from Memphis too." Like, when you meet somebody from Memphis. And so
Yes, you do. Yeah.
it's been just a proud supporter. 8 years on active duty in the Navy. I've gotten to see the world, lived in Texas, California, Virginia, and I would go places and come home. And when I would come home, I would not see the same, accoutrement, the same kind of activities and things available that a young person would want. And the culture was there, right? Like the DNA, the spirit was there, the culture was there, but just those other things, like we just never really developed and never grew, and I didn't understand it. And I watched other cities grow while I was there in those particular places, and I never saw that at home, and I didn't understand it, but I knew I wanted to be a part of it. So when I got off active duty, I came home, was involved civically for some period of time, went to law school, and as I got involved civically, I started to understand the reason why. And to some degree, Memphis mentally and culturally still stuck in the past, right? And it's like the old sermon. If you used to buy those gospel CDs from BET, the old sermon about the chicken and the eagles. And so we have a city full of eagles. Everybody can sing, dance, comedian, cook, make you feel good, but they're walking around like chickens. They don't know that they can fly. They don't know the potential they have, the promise they have. And through just some chance and some circumstances, we elected a congressperson who also doesn't understand it. And as far as I'm concerned, he's a chicken. He wants to stay on the ground, keep the things the way that they have been, and really placate this predominantly Black district. Obviously, he's not a Black person. But one of the things that was important in this campaign is I'm not going to run as other people have run. I'm the Black person, he's not. I'm running
Right.
because aspirational belief for this city. And I believe this world is ready for Memphis to lead again. We've led before in a number of areas. I haven't gone anywhere in the world and told someone I'm from Memphis that they didn't know where I was from. I believe we can lead again that way. And specifically, I believe we can lead economically. And so while there are a lot of people that are in elected office here locally that talk about the problems caused by poverty, very few of them address directly how to get people out of poverty. And they address the symptoms of poverty, but not how to get people out of poverty. And to keep you from being poor, I need to give you money. And I give you money because I give you a purposeful job, a hard day's work and a hard day's pay. And so in Memphis, we economically have gone as far as we've gone down the road of low wage jobs. And so it's time to elect a leader in this area who understands that we have every resource you could possibly want to make the city an economic juggernaut in this district. And sidebar, I say Memphis, but Millington, which is a large suburb where Naval Personnel Command and half of Tipton County, where my family is from, also in this district. So when I say Memphis, I'm using that synonymously with the 9th district. This district has tremendous promises at a crossroad, a strategic location, the river, the weather, the climate. But most importantly, our most important resources are people. And so I'm running because I want to change the mindset. I want them to see a leader that sees people in our communities and understand that all of them are our resources, and they're resources that we need to leverage in partnership to grow this area economically and make Memphis be what it can be. And so you need someone who sits in Congress, represents this district, and tells that story. But more importantly, while telling that story, ensures that the resources that need to come home to facilitate that, those major projects, that major investment, whether they be from the federal government or they be from private sector, those people are in DC every day. So you need somebody in the mix. As the kids say, you need somebody with some motion in
Yes.
DC every day, bringing those things, those resources back to this district. And so for far too long, we've had someone who's now 74 years old who just never really had it, but he definitely doesn't have it now. And so it's time for new leadership to push this community with the intended purpose of moving our citizens out of poverty into the middle class. You do that with a good job, and that's what our platform and our campaign is about: putting this district on the map. 3-part platform: industry, infrastructure, education. Give people a good paying, purposeful job. Infrastructure, give them the tools to do the job. Education, teach them how to do the job and get the hell out of the way. And so that is
Corey, I love the platform. I have a question, Cliff, if you don't mind.
Go right ahead.
So, Corey, can you expound upon your character traits and your family values?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I'm from Memphis through and through, born and raised through and through. And I don't mean any offense to this. I'm from the district, so my roots are north in the district. Although I grew up and raised in the district, my parents are from Tipton County, which is a rural area just north of here. So I would say I'm from Memphis, born and raised in Memphis. I don't necessarily say I'm of Memphis. My values are firmly gotten from my parents' upbringing. My parents grew up in a rural area sharecropping, and so when I say sharecropping, I mean picking cotton with their hands. My dad was driving a tractor by 8. My mom jokes about when she was 12 years old, her aunt used to make food for everybody in the fields. So she got good at cooking real fast so she could stop picking cotton and make food for everybody. But I don't think conceptually people understood what hard work, my peers understood what hard work was like my parents did. And, I was thinking about it for most of my life. My dad had 2 jobs and it was transparent to us, right? My mom was working at the Commercial Appeal and she was a sales advertising rep of the year and then going back to school to become a nurse at the same time. Always being present for us at school, always taking us to church on Sunday and rearing us in our faith, making sure we're at vacation Bible school, making sure that we were with our relatives and part of kind of missionary work in our community and understood the value of community and family. So hard work, right? Like as Mike Jones said, you don't work, you don't eat, you don't grind, you don't shine. Like you have to get out here and get it. And so for them, success or accomplishments that's what it was expected. So I grew up in a family that was like, oh, we're gonna celebrate you, clap your hands, like this is what you were supposed to do, right? Now my parents loved me. My parents always had my back, but it was also say we're gonna set a high bar, you're gonna accomplish it. When you accomplish it, good job. Now on to the next one. And so that has always been me and my older and my younger brother all raised in that same environment. And so to some degree, I understand what hard work is. And I understand that also work can give you purpose, right? Like being able to look at what you have done, look back at it. And I say that because I saw a young man who's working at Blue Oval, a new Ford facility here. And he's a metal worker and he's helping to build the building there. 19 years old, making $35 an hour at 19. But what captured me was sitting in the barber's chair, hearing him talk about his work. He needed to explain to me how he did his job because he's proud of it. Like, I see this roof. It's kind of like the one we're working on. And so what you'll do is, and he was explaining me the process of how, because he's proud of it, which reminds me of the guys that I worked for me in the Navy, on ships and in the reserves. You go around and, hey, sir, let me show you what I did, what I accomplished, right? And so I think that value, I understand it. I've seen it. I've been exposed to it. I was reared in it. And so at scale, Memphis needs to get to a place where people are proud of it. And I live in a city where, it's kind of hard to be proud that you moved some stuff that someone else made. We're a logistics hub. So we move other people's stuff. I was raised in a place, I want to be able to see what I did and I want to look at it and I'm proud of that work. And so that was the environment I was raised in. And then just also education and academically prepare myself. Bible says, study, show yourself approved. And so that was, home, church, wherever else. And so those things those are things that don't go away, right? Nobody can take those things away from me. And I think there need to be more leaders that, social media is good. There's a lot of fast and fleeting things that are in this world, but there's some things of substance that don't go away. And I think we need to have the leaders that are willing to lean in those things and be examples of those things for our community.
Well, that's a great question, Dr. J. I mean, a great question. But Corey, you have demonstrated hard work. You matriculated through the U.S. Naval Academy, which is an accomplishment in and of itself. Also, you have a JD degree. I'm so impressed about that because I wanted to be a lawyer at one time. So I'm trying to push some of my children. I'm trying to live vicariously through them, especially my youngest son, to go to law school.
That's right.
But, that's right. Yeah. So I want a Stockton to be a lawyer. So, I want you to expound.
I'm gonna tell you what I told my grandma. She said, when I graduated from law school, she said, baby, you a lawyer now? I'm like, yeah. She said, what kind of lawyer? I said, not that kind. Whatever that is, whatever you got to find, I don't do that type of law. I need to stay out of trouble. So,
That's a great
No, go ahead.
answer.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. That was great. That was a great response. But what I really want you to do is talk about your successes as the leader of the Shelby County Democratic Party. Now, I know about your successes. I know that there was a blue wave, and a lot of people don't remember that, but I remember that. Under your leadership, there was a blue wave. So I want you to kind of talk about your successes because you're definitely qualified for this job, okay? And we know you can do this job. We know you are a leader. You are a born leader. And so talk about your successes as the leader of the Shelby County Democratic Party.
So I'm going to take people back to 2014 briefly. I was approached by a gentleman in Nashville to run for state Democratic Party. I did. When I decided to run for that, I got involved in our local party. In Memphis, every 4 years, we have county elections where we elect the county mayor, more like a county manager and administrator, but county mayor, sheriff, a bunch of clerks. And so 10 or 11, depending on the year, county-wide seats, property assessor, like those type of jobs. And so during that election cycle, I looked up and I looked at the candidates that we were running, looked at the way we were running, and I looked at this rift that was occurring in the Democratic Party. In Memphis, it's a black and white conversation. So their rift was between black and white folks, even on the Democratic side. And it was just so poorly run. I was at a meeting where a very important decision was changed on the spot, something they had worked on, and someone asked a question and they just changed. I was like, this is not it. And I was like, I could probably do that job, file that away. Reserves, I'm a Navy reservist, so I've done the Navy for 21 years, still serving. Go to Afghanistan for a year, come back. I'm still a member of the party. Well, since I left, a bunch of problems with the party. And it got so bad that the state party had to shutter the local Democratic Party, i.e. pull its charter and like cease operations of it. It did not exist. And that was summer of 2016. Well, what happened in November of 2016, we elected a new president. A lot of people were concerned in the blue dot that is on West Tennessee, Shelby County, in a red state. So they said, we got to get a Democratic Party together because in 2018, we got those elections coming up again locally, and they're partisan elections. And so I helped put that together, and they elected me. So I take people back to 2017. In August of 2017, I was elected the party chair. I had a party with about $4,000 at the bank, which is not much, a terrible reputation, a bunch of new people, the same old historic kind of mismanagement and mistrust across communities. And we were a year out from a county election. At the time I was party chair, I was elected party chair. We lived in a predominantly Democratic county, so 55, 56, pretty safe. Democrats should win elections, but 9 of the 10 county level seats, countywide, everybody votes on them, were held by Republicans in a predominantly Democratic county because of mismanagement, poor candidate selection, you name it, it was all there. So I told people it was winning the next year, and I knew it. I knew it wasn't hard. It wasn't complicated. It was going to be hard work, but it wasn't complicated. And I start saying that message, and I start saying enough that some qualified candidates start calling me. Hey, Corey, is this for real? And I got some conversations with some other more qualified candidates, and I approached them. Said, I need you to be on my slate. I need you to run because it's for real this time. And what I did was I allowed the party to borrow my reputation personally and say, we're going to go do this. And so you got through the primaries and you saw this really elected slate that was important. But I'm going to tell you something about leadership that was important in that process. And I had to say some things that were uncomfortable. So I'm going to say them here because this is the type of leader you're getting. At the time, we had a bunch of people that were coming because they were upset with Trump being elected, et cetera, et cetera. This is predominantly white people, mostly East Memphis, suburbs of the city. And those people were really excited to get out and vote, and we're going to beat Trump. And I'm like, well, this is not an election for Trump. This is a local election. And I went to those people and I told them, hey, I'm glad you are here. You're important. You're going to help us win this election. But I want to be very clear to you, the issues that are important to you are secondary to the issues that's important to our voting base in Whitehaven. And if we're going to win this, it's going to be from Whitehaven. So y'all are going to have to get in your cars and you have to come to Whitehaven to turn out our base because that's how we win elections. And so you're going to have to give of yourself, give up your priorities and come to Whitehaven because those are the people that need county government to serve them. And then I went to Whitehaven and I said, it's a lot of new people here and they're showing up and we're going to win it this time. And we're going to turn out the people and we're going to vote. But I said, we're not going to have an all black slate because we don't have an all black county. And people need to be able to see themselves in this slate. So we're going to have some white people on this slate. And that's okay, because there's good Democrats and good qualified people. One in particular I went after, I'll say her name, Regina Smith, or excuse me, yeah, Regina. She's our trustee. I was like, ain't she the only person in this county should be trustee, qualified? Like, we're gonna get qualified candidates. So we
Is
showed
that
up with a
Regina
diverse
Newman? Regina
sorry, Regina
Newman?
Newman. I'm saying Regina Smith.
Yeah.
Regina Newman,
Okay.
yeah. And so
Yeah.
she's one of the people I approached and said, hey, I need you to run. And she, and then some people talked to her. They're like, hey, this might be the time. And so I had to say things that made people uncomfortable, but were true, because they needed to understand those and operate with those and be unified to go win an election. And the last thing we did was shortly before the election, our election commission decided that they weren't going to open up all the polling locations for the first 3 or 4 days of early vote.
Yeah,
and
I
said,
remember
no,
that.
I'm not good.
Yeah.
But I'm good. I'm not good with that. And so something about me, a leader that I've learned in the Navy, is you surround your people with experts. And so I created created a campaign committee, some electeds, some party members, some people at large in the community, to advise every week what we were going to do as a group. You know, what's going on in the county, how do we address it? And we got on a call and I said, hey, they want to close the polling locations. I've heard lawsuits. I did not want to file a lawsuit. And so I'll say two names, but one particularly was Tammy Sawyer. She was on that call, and Tammy said, hey, Court, we need to file this lawsuit because we need to sue them and make sure they open the polling locations. And I was like, well, we got to get buses and get people to the polls, et cetera, et cetera. And so my right-hand man, Jeff Etheridge, owner of Deal Day TV, old school in Memphis, white guy who come from the kind of Trump and got involved. Jeff said, you know, Corey, Tammy's right. In addition to that, sue the election commission. It'll be in the paper every day. So that's your GOTV. And I said, y'all are both right. Let's go do it. We sued it. We won. You got a blue wave, right? And so the point of all that is to say is there were some times where as a leader, I stood up and said, I'm going to say the thing that I know to be true, and I'm going to force people to deal with it and use that as fuel to move forward. And I'm going to be the sole person. But there's sometimes as a leader where I surrounded myself with people and they told me to do something I didn't necessarily think we should do. And I was fortunate enough to have counsel around me of smart, intelligent people, committed people to make the right decisions, the decisions that help us get there. That's the same thing I would be as a congressperson, right? There's sometimes I'm going to stand up and say what needs to be said. And there's sometimes I'm going to say, hey, should I say this? No, you should probably say it like this. Okay, that works. But again, it takes both, right? You can't represent people if you're not connected with them. And so, but those are a few of the vignettes of how we did it. But we did it, and now people are, oh, Democrats, we running everything. They don't remember in 2017. I was the only one saying that.
That's right.
So sometimes
that's right.
You got to see, you got to be Caleb. I've seen the Giants, but it's good land. We can overtake them, give it to me, right? For our Bible scholars. So sometimes you got to be the person. I'm going to go scout it out, see it. It's we can do it, and bring people with you. And so I see that for this district as well.
And Corey,
that's good.
Excuse me,
Go ahead, Dr.
Corey,
Day.
I see you as that David going against the Goliath. And I believe that you will win.
Awesome.
No, I
But yeah,
appreciate
you did
that.
it.
I don't know if he can lie, but yeah.
But you did a stellar job leading the Democratic Party. I know it was in shambles. I remember because I had just moved back to Memphis in 2017. As a matter of fact, I ran for school board in 2018 and got out of the race because of the split vote phenomenon. That runs rampant in Memphis. You know, as a matter of fact, at the mayoral race that we just passed, I think they had 17 people in the mayoral race, which is ridiculous. 19 people. That's ridiculous. But, you know, it's just something that Memphis, they do that in Memphis. But I want you to talk about your platform issues for the congressional district of number 9. Let me say this first. I have traveled the state of Tennessee, from Shelby County all the way up to Knox County, from one end, from the southwest corner to the northeast corner. And what I noticed is, just in the interstate system, the highway system looks different in Shelby County than it does in Davidson County, than it does in not. You can see the difference in how they treat Shelby County. So talk about your platform issues for the congressional 9th district.
Sure. So my opponent is a very longstanding and loyal Democrat, and voting record wise, full stop, we would probably vote like each other 99 out of 100 times, right? In my opinion, voting as a congressperson is the same as at your job, answers the phones and emails in a timely manner. Like that's not your job. That's the lowest bar, right? It's all those other things that you do. And so what we've done is we've analyzed kind of the federal funding that's come to this district, particularly from the committees with which the congressman sits on, one of which is transportation and infrastructure. And we have recognized that there has been a tremendous disinvestment in this district over the past um, 8 terms, and going back to 2008, his first full fiscal year as our congressman. I give you some quick numbers so you can give a frame of reference. A lot of people don't know Memphis is got Arkansas next door, you got Mississippi next door. Arkansas's first district and Mississippi's first district border us. So if you go back to 2008 and look at our congressperson, $5.2 billion total federal money coming into this district, federal receipts, contracts, grants, Social Security, VA, all that stuff. $5.2 billion. That's 2008. Come to 2023, you would expect that number to go up for a senior tenured congressperson. Last year, we got 5.1 billion. So it actually went down. We can't find another congressional district where that's the case for, right? But that's not keeping up with inflation. That's raw numbers, less money last year than we did. And 5.1 billion is less than it was so it's a significant decrease, right? But if you compare it to people next to us, Mississippi 01, they went from 2.8 to 4.7 billion. Arkansas's first district, mostly farmland, not a lot of big cities, only one small city, Jonesboro. They went from 2.3 billion to 5.3 billion, same period of time, more than doubled. The state of Tennessee tripled the amount of money it got over that period of time. 2008, the state of Tennessee got $33 billion from the federal government. Last year, 103 billion, triple. That money's not coming here; it's going to Nashville. The area around Nashville, the old 5th district, Davidson County, went from 2.5 billion to $36 billion.
Wow. Wow.
So when you drive around and you see different interstates and you see buildings and you see growth in their infrastructure, that is because there's federal money coming to support the growth of that area that is not coming to this district. And you have a congressman simply who is falling asleep at the wheel. He's been there 9 terms. He's never chaired a committee. So you see what I'm saying? So like, where I grew up, when you go to church for 19, 18 years, you're going to Men and Women's Day, Usher Day, Choir Day, you're going to chair something,
That's right. Pastor appreciation or something, right?
Something. You're going to be in charge of something. So that tells you what his peers think of him, right? So what is our platform? What are we trying to do? I'm not getting into the fringe issues because at the end of the day, those come up when someone's an extremist. I'm dealing with, I want to put enough money in people's pockets so they can make good decisions, right? I want to be the congressman that provides good decisions so people can make good decisions. And so our platform is simple: industry, infrastructure, education. We want to change the industry here such that we are making and providing something that is essential and competitive for the next 50 years. And we want our workforce pushing that, driving that. Second, we want to improve our infrastructure, not only to attract industry, but to allow industry to grow here, but also to give the tools that our people need to get to and from, to attract it, whether it's internet, utilities, whatever. These are all things that the federal government can support. And there's a lot of money flowing around, not to Memphis, but to do those things. And finally, education. There are lots of programs at the federal government level to ensure that the people, small businesses in different areas have the money to train their workforce for these jobs. But you have to be intentional about applying for those and leveraging those appropriately. And I want to be the congressman that is proactive at identifying organizations and people in the community who are doing that work and making sure that we set them up and give them the capacity to provide, to apply for federal grants to get that big money in, right? Like get $3 million grant. Okay, now we can really train some people and get this moving, right? And we can sustain ourselves, right? And so this is a very local race. All politics are local.
Right.
Yes, Gaza's come up, and I'm in support of a permanent ceasefire and independence for the Gaza people. Yes, There's a lot of, I'm pro-choice, and then I want to make sure that there's safety at the border. Those are a bunch of issues. But day to day in Memphis, baby, I'm just trying to eat. I'm trying to provide for my family. I'm trying not to have 3 jobs, and so I'm living in a space to talk to the people that I know. I'm talking to my community about the issues that are closest to them, right? 6 inches in front of their face, and saying that I'm going to do something different about that. And I've yet to go somewhere that they have not received that message. They have been very clear about it. And in a crime-riddled city, I certainly have to provide a future so these young men, some women, but mostly young men, know, hey, there's a legitimate opportunity. I don't have to work. I don't have to jump through hoops. I don't have to do nothing special. There's going to be a job one day waiting on me. Or there'll be a day in the future where there's a job here for me. I can go do that tomorrow, and I don't have to choose this. But right now, they don't have any options. And so this is a very local race of, like, let's turn the key, get the ignition going to this economy. Let's really leverage our workforce, put us out there, and let people know what Memphis can do and provide for the world.
Great answer. So you mentioned transportation, and that's something that's near and dear to me because my dad about 40 years ago talked about light rail, bringing light rail to Memphis. And right now, MATA, Memphis Area Transit Authority, is in shambles. The reason I know, I just got an anonymous email from some disgruntled employees, and I posted it on my page. But that's one of the things I know that the congressman could bring in funds, federal funds, to help with the infrastructure of light rail. It really already exists. If you know Memphis, if you go down Madison Avenue, they got tracks right there where the trolley is, and it goes far west to east, and it could be extended, and then definitely we can go north and south as well to Mississippi and toward Millington. So that's near and dear to me, and that's something I want to see happen. Most major cities have high-speed rail or light rail, or like Chicago, the elevated train. So I think if Memphis wants to be a progressive city, I think that's something that has to happen. What are your thoughts on that?
So you bring up rail at every level, and I'm going to answer your first question, light rail and MATA. So let's talk about MATA. What's important, and let's just put the rail aside. There has been federal money to come to MATA. MATA was actually a proof point for a major federal grant a couple of years ago around electric buses. One of the things that I think is also important, and I'm going to say this, and people in Memphis are going to be mad, and they can be mad at me, but it's about to be a new sheriff in town, and we're going to operate differently. I don't give you money and you don't do what you're supposed to do with it, and then I keep giving you money. There needs to be some accountability.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm not only going to bring resources to Memphis. If you're not doing it, then I'm going to go give resources to someone that is doing it right, period. And I don't care about what church you went to. I don't care what Greek or civic organization you're a part of. I don't care what high school you went to. I don't care who your mom or your daddy are. If you're not doing your job right, you can't be in this job getting this many millions of dollars that has an impact on our community, right? I know that might make people upset, but you asked a question about culture. That's also my parents. You messed up. You finna get this whooping. Like you earn these licks, you gonna get them. And that's how I was raised in. And so I got my licks. And many times I was like, well, you know what? They ain't found out what the mother for thing. So y'all probably earned this one. So yeah, I was bad. I was bad back in the day. Anyways, so I think with MATA, like with other things, if we're bringing federal money in, or if they're agents of the federal government here locally, the VA, Department of Labor, other ones, they ain't doing their job, we're gonna have a real conversation about it. And we're gonna find somebody else to do that job here, because we got qualified, talented people that can do those jobs. In reference to light rail, unfortunately, Memphis missed the boat along with some other southern cities. I think Atlanta and maybe Dallas were and maybe Houston were a few of the southern cities who actually took the money when the country was doing that. And so we decided not to do that. I think light rail is a possibility. There is public transit money. Ironically, public transit, $638 million of public transit money came to Tennessee last year, $638 million. The senior person in that community from Memphis brought 18 from MATA. So 638 came to the state. 620 of it went somewhere other than Memphis.
Wow.
Personnel. So
Wow,
I say all that
and
to
Shelby
say
County,
that,
yeah, Shelby County is the biggest. Well, Memphis is the that has the more population. Even though Nashville is growing, Shelby County could really use that, or the 9th congressional district could have used that.
yep. So light rail, definitely want to look for opportunities to do that. I think what's important is the city needs to have a plan. The county needs to have a plan on how to fund it, how to execute it properly. Because I don't want to take a bad plan up there and waste money. So we have to be intentional. What do we want this to look like? And so that puts some onus on MATA and the local people to come up with a good plan so that plan can be funded appropriately. But I think there's other opportunities in transportation that are much broader. A lot of people don't know there's been a $100 billion wealth transfer into the southeastern United States over the past 10 years as industries have relocated to the South. You see car plants, tire plants popping up everywhere. So when those happen, what happens? You have a need to move goods, raw materials, et cetera, around the country. There are only two major nodes where Eastern and Western railroads on the two seaboards meet and transition. And those are in Chicago, Illinois, and Kansas City, Missouri, two cities that have very large rail industry, right? Memphis has a lot of train tracks, but we don't have that connectivity. As things move across the South from North Carolina to Texas to Florida, there's an opportunity, I believe, if Memphis positions itself properly, to be a third hub in this southern part of this country as rail moves left and right. But that's got to be an intentional conversation. We've got to get our act together. It's going to take some infrastructure changes in our city, how we drive, how we do. But that's tens of billions of dollars that will come to this city to build infrastructure. And those are significant jobs. Real jobs are real jobs, right? So if you're a conductor, if you do the op management from left to right, if you lay track, you're part of technology part of it, like those are great jobs, right? So that's an opportunity. If we see things changing, how can we position Memphis to be one of those places? Probably another bridge or two across the Mississippi. So if we set ourselves up to be that transportation center, so not moving the goods, but the means of the goods moving, which is rail. I think from light rail all the way to heavy rail, there's some incredible opportunities. And I also plan to be a big advocate for high-speed commercial rail. It's just something we need to do in this country. And I think the Southeastern United States would benefit definitively from that economically. Your Charlotte to Atlanta to Birmingham to Little Rock to Memphis to Nashville to New Orleans, like that corridor looks different in this part of the country with high-speed commercial or high-speed passenger rail. I'm sorry, high-speed passenger rail. And so that's something I would definitely support in Congress as well. But there's many opportunities. We just have to get in the game, understand where we are and how to leverage it. So, yeah.
So,
Okay,
Corey, I just wanted to say that we really enjoyed this conversation. We know that your time is extremely valuable. And on behalf of Cliff and myself, I just want to say thank you for a really deep conversation. Cliff, back to you.
Okay, as we begin to wrap up, I want to ask you one last question, and you did a great job. Thank you so much for agreeing to talk with Dr. J and myself on Ear Hustling with Cliff and Dr. J. But my last and final question is, what would you do different than the person that currently holds the seat?
Sure. I mentioned this earlier, and I can't say it enough. The crown jewel of this district, the crown resource of this district, the resource that makes this district different than anywhere else in the world, not the Mississippi River. It's not our weather. It's not our strategic location. It's not food or music. It's the people here. That's what makes this place different. Something different in the DNA. Very quick story. The day that I knew I needed to move back to Memphis, I was here in 2007. I was at a gas station, and I was about to go downtown dancing, and I was on my Cali swag at the time, so I was dressed a little different. I'm in Orange Mound, but I'm dressed a little bit different. So, guy at the gas pump, he looked at me. You about to get checked. Somebody about to get on you a little bit. He looked at me up and down. I'm like, what are you finna say? So he said, you going out on the town, ain't it, my man? Like, he cut me. Like, I was like, oh yeah, he got me. So he's looking outfit. But the funny thing about it is, even though it's the type of thing that when someone insults you or like kind of jones on you, it's like from a place of love, right? Like, you are kind of fresh, but I'm gonna get on you a little bit. Like that culture,
Right.
That community we have here, there's nothing like it. what I'm going to different, all I'm going to do that's different is I'm not going to placate to it. I'm not going to kowtow to it. I'm not just going around naming buildings after Black folks and saying that I did. I'm going to go sell it. I'm going to let people know whatever you're looking for, this is the place to open up shop. And these people are different. And I'm going to be the best representative of that. I want to be an ambassador for that, because you both know transplants come to Memphis and they don't think this is a good deal. I like it here. This is a great place. Someone needs to go sell that, right? All the infrastructure and all the stuff that we want to bring industry here, like that's all fine and good. But people want to live in a place because of the heart of it. And so you need someone that can sell that. And to sell it, you got to understand it and be committed to what it earnestly is. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to DC, and this is who you're going to get as congressman. And I'll close with this. When you say who's Corey Strong going to be as congressman, this is what my peers will say about me. You know, Corey's a smart guy. He's principled. If you have legislation or anything you're working on, he's going to be a great partner. He'll work on you, and you can depend on him. You can get him to sign and vote on your bill. You're just going to have to listen to him talk about Memphis for 30 minutes before you get it done. Like, that's who I'm going to be. Like, hey, I work with all y'all, but y'all going to know where I'm from before this is all done. And so that's what I'm going to do differently is, you know, pay homage. This election is my love letter to this district, and I plan on leading that way. So, yeah.
Awesome. And we want you to be a cheerleader for Memphis. That's what we need. We think that we have been underrepresented. I'm just speaking personally. I believe Memphis has been underrepresented for the last 17 years. So he's been in office since 2007. We're in 2024, and certain things when I look around that we just don't have, things infrastructure wise that are not there. And so Memphis has always been on the precipice of great potential. And so I think you can help us realize the potential that's always been there. Nashville bypassed us about 20 years ago. Dr. J will remember this on license plate. The license plate used to be numbered. So Memphis used to be number one. And Nashville was number two. And I think
Knoxville, Chattanooga was 3 and Knoxville was 4.
Knoxville was 4. Yeah. So I think we need to get back to number one. I think you are the right person to get us back to number one. So we appreciate your efforts. Yeah. But we appreciate your efforts. And as I spoke with you on the phone, I told you, anything you need me to do, I'm here for you. I appreciate you so much and all the hard work that you've done so far. Dr. J, I'll give you parting words.
Corey, I'm just amazed. You are fascinating. You're so well educated, well spoken, but yet you keeps it real, as they say. And I will support you from afar, but I can't wait to see you again. And hopefully the next time you will be at DC representing Memphis in the state of Tennessee. Thank you.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Corey.
Thank you much.
Go ahead. That was Corey Strong for Congress, and you are ear hustling with Cliff and Dr. J.